Hi, I'm Melamed. In my previous video I was talking about the impact of the events in Libya on the immediate circle, mostly focusing on the axis of monarchies and Egypt. Today I would like to talk about the impact of the events on another important axis in the region. There is an axis known by the name of the axis of refusal and resistance, and it's being orchestrated mostly by the Iranian regime. I have been talking about that axis in different occasions, and I have indicated that this axis has sustained for the last couple of months some severe cracks and blows as an outcome of the different events in the region. It would seem that the downfall of the Gaddafi regime is another massive blow and crack that this axis has to sustain. The Iranian regime was supporting Gaddafi in his effort to survive the struggle. The Iranian regime supplied Gaddafi with weapons, ammunition, funds. It was done, of course, mostly secretly. The Iranian regime interest was that the Gaddafi regime will outlast. The downfall of the Gaddafi regime is a bad news for the Iranian regime for a couple of reasons. First of all, the Iranian regime was hoping that the Western forces, NATO, partly the United States, will sink in the mud in Libya. Therefore, they will be much less able to focus their attention in Iran itself. That did not happen. In fact, something different happened. The Iranians are enormously disturbed with the fact that by the use of mostly aerial strikes by NATO, based upon a very accurate intelligence that was supplied mostly by the Americans, in a relatively short period of time, the NATO forces, together of course with the rebels on the ground, were able to disintegrate the powerful structure that Gaddafi had in Libya. The ability of this very accurate aerial strike to hit a carefully picked strategic objectives inside Libya are enormously disturbing the Iranians because they understand that if a similar scenario will take place in Iran, it is not sure that they will have a different faith than the faith of the Libyan dictator. It is no wonder, by the way, that right now, in the midst of these events in Libya, the Iranian president Ahmadinejad was allegedly presenting a new missile that was developed by the Iranians, an anti-navy or an anti-ship missile. By the way, the Iranians are announcing quite often all kind of different military, technologically, allegedly, innovations or weapons that they have. This report should be taken in a much of questioning approach and doubting one. Another thing is enormously disturbing the Iranians, that is the fact that the success of the rebels in Libya, even though the circumstances are different, the conditions are different, the course of events was different, yet the success of the rebels in Libya in their objective to topple down the Gaddafi regime will clearly be a backwind for the rebels in Syria. That may escalate what seems today almost inevitably the process of the downfall of the Assad regime. By far, this is the most disturbing scenario as far as the Iranian regime is concerned. There is another interesting side to that issue, and that is the position of the Lebanese government. Why do I mention the Lebanese government in the context of the Iranian regime? simply because of the fact that the current government in Lebanon is mostly dominated by the Hezbollah. And Hezbollah is the Iranian proxy in Lebanon. Interesting enough, but not surprising. Up until now, the Lebanese government did not acknowledge the new transitional leadership in Libya after the downfall of Gaddafi. The Lebanese government, in fact, keeps silent about it. Obviously, we understand that once we understand that this is a position that is basically compliant with the Iranian regime position. In fact, the Lebanese government kept silent to the point that these very days, the Shiites in Lebanon are commemorating one of the most painful events in the not so far past. I'm referring to the disappear of the Shiite spiritual leading political leader in the 70s, Musa al-Sadr. Al-Sadr disappeared together with his companies during a visit to Libya in 1978. The common assumption ever since is that he was assassinated by the order of Gaddafi. The Libyan, of course, constantly denied it. Interesting enough, not so long ago, Gaddafi was willing to pay compensation for the family of Sadr, but not admitting or not taking responsibility for that act. The most important and interesting part of this story is the following one. As of today, as the Shiites in Lebanon are about to commemorate the disappearing of Musa Sadr, which basically took place right now, these very days, some 35 years ago. The major Shiite factors in Lebanon, both the Hezbollah as well as Amal, are totally silent. They say nothing about this event. That silence is even more emphasized, taking into account that only a couple of years ago, in 2004, Nasrallah, the leader of the Hezbollah in Lebanon, was condemning Libya and openly accusing Gaddafi with the murder of Musa al-Sadr. In my next concluding part of that video, I will talk about another circle that is deeply involved in the events of Libya. That is the circle of the Western states. And we will see the glorious day of cynical real politics, European one, at its best, as it was and it is manifested in the Libyan case. I'm Melamed. Thank you for watching.